Good morning, mushrooms. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and to all my cousins, it's time to plug in and get this train chugging. It's a big news day, as always. It's sad, it's dark, it's depressing, it's weird, it's wild, it's wacky, but it is the world in which we live. And COVID-19 has brought the US to its knees, says the CDC chief. Now, if something brings you to your knees, it has weakened you because, well, if you're strong, you're standing on your feet, but when you're feeling a bit weak, then yes, you end up sinking slowly down to your knees. If you think about it, being on your knees is never, or is rarely a sign of strength. It's a sign of submission or a sign of weakness. And the US, I'm sorry, my nose is going crazy. The allergies out here. I took a pill, but it takes a while for the medicine to kick in. Well, biology is biology. It's never a sign of strength, and the US is on its knees, both economically and, well, otherwise. To ignore something is to not pay attention to it. Pretend it does not exist. Much like that annoying friend of yours from high school that you just really don't want to see anymore, yet they keep sending you messages and you just keep ignoring them. That's not nice. You shouldn't do that. The point being is it's different than ignorant. To be ignorant is to not have the knowledge about something or to not have enough knowledge about something due to a lack of mental capacity or a lack of investigation. And so if somebody ignores something, it does not necessarily mean that they are ignorant. And I just hear this mixed up all the time by students and friends and even family. So just beware of the difference between the two. Well, our first wave never finished. It's crested a bit, but it's carrying on, and now it's surging forward and upward again in the United States. Moving on. Well, really, same topic. This is disturbing, a disturbing trend if you ask me. Some US public health officials, these are trained and seasoned professionals who deal with this, and they are the experts in the matter, and they are resigning due to threats. People are threatening them with violence because they're asking them to wear masks. Yeah, but yes, to resign from your job is to sign the piece of paper that says, I quit, I'm done, I'm finished, I'm out of here. That's done of your own free will, or sometimes people force you to resign. They're pushing you out. They don't want to fire you, but yeah, they're making you quit your job. Threat. A threat of violence. The threat of violence. To threaten to do something or to threaten somebody with violence. Yeah? Just some nice little constructions of the word in its various forms. Are you baffled by some Americans' resistance to masks? Read this article. And yes, it's about our fierce individualism and our love of individualism and freedom, freedom, freedom. We're not going to let anybody tell us what to do. To a detriment, even though, yeah, we just trust our guts and we don't listen to experts. But to be baffled means to be confused, to be perplexed, to be mystified. And so, are you baffled? Are you confused by some Americans' resistance to masks? To be resistant to something or to resist something, yeah? And so it's to say no and try and stop it. Some people cannot resist junk food, having some chocolate or some potato chips, because sweets and salts are tasty and delicious and we're biologically programmed to crave them. But just like some things are waterproof, others are just water resistant, up to 10 meters, like this wristwatch that I'm not wearing. Who has a watch anymore? Well, not I, at least. Moving on. COVID-19 returns to countries that had a grip on it. A grip, and yes, if you're holding something, that is your grip. We've had it on the show, like when you shake hands, you want a nice firm grip. But if you have a grip on something, that means it is in your hand, you are holding it, and therefore you have it under control. Some countries had a grip on it, had COVID-19 under control, but they're seeing a resurgence. It's coming back up, countries, for example, Germany, and I imagine it will happen as well here in Spain. Well, because we're opening up to tourism, and so we're going to get some imported cases and then clusters popping up here and there. as the virus spreads anew. To get a grip, if you hear somebody say get a grip, it means get a grip on reality. It means that you are out of touch with what's going on. Moving on. Here's a good word. The most succinct and brutal GOP rejection of Trump you will ever read. The GOP is the Republican Party, the grand old party, his party, so to speak. But succinct, this is the point. As a teacher, I want my students to write and speak succinctly. Succinct, pronunciation changes a bit. Good morning, Zdenek. Succinct means using very few words, but explaining something very clearly. And I did read this yesterday, and it is very succinct and brutal, ripping him to shreds, like tearing him into little pieces of confetti. A synonym for succinct would be concise, a very concise argument. For business communication, you want to write very succinct and concise emails in order, well, we're all busy, we don't want to read pages and pages of words, and so just explain it as briefly as possible. Some opposites of succinct, you might wonder, could be verbose, could be lengthy, could be, my favorite, wordy, to the point then where sometimes you're getting flamboyant, using overly elaborate words that, just don't need to be said. My explanation of succinct here has been rather long-winded and wordy, and so let's just move on. Push it out, kick it out, say we don't want that. All right. As you know, another cluster of COVID popped up, emerged, or dare I say even erupted in a wholesale food market in Beijing. And they went and started to just lock down, and they shut down the market. And what kind of market was it? It was huge. It was enormous. It was like acres and acres, if not hundreds of acres of fruits and vegetables and animals and God knows what else they sell. But it is a wholesale food market. What is wholesale? Where you buy things in large quantities, because you come in and you say, ooh, those tomatoes look nice. I'll buy all of them, the whole bunch. Yeah, but especially what it means is to buy things in large numbers, especially so that they can then be resold for a profit. A porn star, reduced passive, has been charged with sexually assaulting women. By whom? Well, by the women, and then therefore by the authorities. The point being here, just a reduced present perfect passive has been charged with a crime. Don't want to dwell on that. Let's move on. The EU is considering denying entry to American visitors. Oh boy, to deny entry to us. Now, often we deny the truth, we deny reality, we deny accusations, but we can also deny actions. And this is just a very official way of saying it. And they might not let in American visitors. Well, why? Because we don't have it under control. Much like at the beginning of this whole situation, people were denying entry from Italy, from Spain, from other little hotbeds of the virus. And now, well, America is carrying on the tradition of, being infected. I don't know. Whatever. Bolsonaro, another reduced passive here. He has been ordered, he was ordered to wear a face mask because he is a denier, and he, as you know, if you keep up with the news, he is vehemently against face masks and social distancing and any sort of other measures, preventative or protective measures regarding the virus. But he has been ordered to wear a face mask. By whom? Don't know. Probably his Ministry of Health or someone like that. Historic Saharan dust plume darkens the skies. Now, the skies have become dark. Yeah, adjective plus en means to make something that. Ta-da! Logic. I love those en adjectives. But a plume of dust. Now, a plume technically is a big, soft, fluffy feather. You might see people would have them in their hats. It's decorative, it's ornamental. Or then even an old quill used for writing was a big feather, sometimes very elaborate. That is a plume. And so when dust or smoke or pollution or something goes up in the air and it comes from a narrow spot and then it starts to spread out like that, we say a plume of smoke, a plume of dust, etc. Mind blowing. My mind was blown. Blah, blah, blah. It just means very surprising to the point where your brain explodes. It's a pretty common term nowadays on the internet, and you see even on TV shows people going. So I don't think we need to dwell on this one. We don't need to camp here any longer. And so let's just move on, huh? Here's some big news. Two people I've never heard of before. Somebody is suing somebody else for defamation. Now, to sue is to take legal action, to file charges against somebody for something because it has caused you damage. And so you can sue somebody for damages for having done something. And so maybe she is suing her for $1 million for defamation. And defamation, well, let's look at it. Fame, yeah, being famous, and D, meaning making unfamous, not exactly. But what they're doing is giving somebody a bad name, giving somebody a bad reputation by saying things that are untrue and hurtful or damaging to that person. Defamation, slander, libel, three very similar terms. I'm going to have to look up the exact legal differences between them, and I'm going to do a little short video on that coming up somewhere, sometime, somehow, someday. Some why, that's not a word. But defamation, slander, libel is printing things, saying things publicly in order to damage the reputation of somebody else from past episodes, to tarnish their reputation. Yeah, to make it not as shiny, not as beautiful, not as lustrous and wonderful. Moving on. All right. Wave of fireworks exploding in cities across the US. This is not really news. However, I highlighted it because there have been many waves on this show. We've had, of course, waves of COVID, waves of the virus, but waves of misinformation, waves of discontent, waves of locusts, insects. And now we've got a wave of fireworks. Apparently people are lighting more fireworks than they had in the past. Why? I don't know. It's getting everywhere. The plastics are getting everywhere. And as the big pieces of plastic break down into smaller plastics, it's just become ubiquitous. It's everywhere. That's something apparently we just have to live with and probably die from. She wants to surpass Serena. We've had the word surpass on the show several times, and I've never really agreed with the usage. This I can stand by, I can stand behind, and I stand for the use of surpass in this fashion because sur, meaning above, and they want to pass over, and to perform better than, to do better than, to not necessarily defeat, but to outdo someone. She wants to be bigger than Serena. The Segway is officially over. How? Why? I don't know. It never really took off. I respect the invention and the inventor, who now died as a result of his invention, actually. Not the first inventor to die of his invention, but still, it was revolutionary. It was groundbreaking. It was an amazing idea, but it never really took off, except for guided tours around crowded European cities, and then crowding the sidewalks and causing accidents and causing problems. And if it's over, it's over. No tears shall be shed for the Segway. Gravitational waves reveal a merger between a black hole and a mystery object. Hello, puppy. A merger. Two things come together to become one. And so there's a black hole and something, they're coming together. We don't know what it is. That's why it's a mystery. But mergers, much like in business, you hear about mergers and acquisitions, where one company acquires another company, just like Facebook acquired WhatsApp and Instagram or whatever. But mergers, when they come together, like AOL and Time Warner, like JP Morgan and Chase Bank, other Exxon and Mobil coming together to form ExxonMobil. It's a merger. Or when you're going onto a highway, you have to go up the ramp like that. You're merging onto the highway. To be out of step, Imagine a whole bunch of soldiers marching together. All of their legs are moving the same way. And if you are out of step, it means you're doing things differently. However, well, doing things differently and not conforming is often a good thing. In this case, it definitely has a negative sort of meaning. Here's a good word. I love it. Fiasco comes from Italian and it actually means to make a flask, the small sort of bottle for liquids. They don't know, according to the internet, it is unknown why there's a figurative usage of the word of the term, but it means a disaster, a complete and utter miserable failure, but especially in an embarrassing or humiliating way. Like if you go to ask out a pretty girl and she says no, and at the same time your pants fall down in the middle of the cafe, yeah, that would be some sort of fiasco, I guess. Here we've just got a nice little co-location, words that naturally go together to pose a problem. But not only that, we also have alliteration with the same sound at the beginning of successive words. Poses Premier League problem. It poses a premier problem. Poses a premier problem. Just a co-location. Moving on. Here's just a nice one to avoid redundancy. The richest man is now the wealthiest person. All right, so they use man and then person, richest and then wealthiest. Wealthy just means rich, basically. However, when we're looking at the differences between rich and wealthy, often with rich, it just means you got a whole lot of money. But wealth, it seems generational, as if it's been in the family for some time. It's got deep, deep roots. Where some people get rich quick, you wouldn't say get wealthy quick. It's you could, you just don't. Remember, English doesn't have rules, it just has tendencies. And people tend to use these in those ways. That's it. That was the news for today. Wednesday, the 24th of June. For English Otherwise, that was breaking down the news. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in, clicking the like and subscribe and the follow, adding comments. Please do, if you're here in the morning, jump into the comments and ask some questions, participate, interact. It's meant to be interactive. I'll bet you know somebody who would appreciate it, and so pass it along to a friend. And so, if I don't see you sooner, 8 a.m. tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. I couldn't stop it fast enough. Yes, it stopped. If I don't see you, signing off for English Otherwise. If I don't see you sooner, I'll see you at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.